In 2025, out of 3,000 game developers that were interviewed, 52% reported their companies using generative AI. In the past year alone, 1 in every 10 game developers was laid off from their job due to AI. Now, the only question is, how do we fire the other 9?
That's right, for my 91 subscriber special, I'm transitioning from a hack PNG tuber with his arms crossed into a hack green screen essayist that will lecture you. Yes, my microphone is very noticeably connected by a wire out of frame. I bought a lapel mic to try and fix this issue. However, it ended up sounding like this. $30, by the way. Fuck my life. Now, I understand that I may have established that I have a bit of a bias against this company for the past few videos, and I'm going to be banning them from any mention so I prevent myself from continuously repeating myself. However, I think of it more as a love-hate relationship, because there are games in their catalog that I genuinely do think are really cool and important to the industry. When Far Cry 3 and Assassin's Creed released, there was absolutely nothing like those games in the industry. When I was a teenager, I played the shit out of Rainbow Six Siege. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And it sucks that I can't play the game that I like anymore because of what they did to it. Now, instead of further venting my hatred for this company, I'm gonna actually speak about one of my favorite games that came from them, that being Far Cry 2, developed by Ubisoft Montreal and released in 2008. You see, in Far Cry 2, you play as a mercenary, sent to an African country, embroiled in a civil war in order to hunt down the Jackal, a weapons dealer that is further stoking the flames of this conflict. Now you see, when you get to Africa... Sorry, this game isn't Goodfellas, it's not Sinners, this is... just, you're doing random bullshit. You meet the Jackal once or twice, and he says some things to you, and then at the end of it, you either blow yourself up or blow your own brains out.
Last night, I made the decision to scuttle the Northern Lion Super Cruise.
The story exists to facilitate the gameplay, which is you strolling across some random village and then committing horrible atrocities against your own fellow man. Now, while your actions may be disgusting, I would say the game looks anything but. You see, this game was made during the era of FPS and action games, where having any color or vibrancy was tantamount to walking into the middle of the street and going, "Oh, I'm a baby, I'm a little child." But I would say, for this game, it really works, because I think the game puts a lot of effort into exuding a truly gritty and dour atmosphere. You are in a country that is in an active conflict with a bunch of innocent people getting murdered in the streets, and you yourself are participating in the conflict and also further exaggerating it, because all you're doing is going around and killing people for like 95% of the game. The only times that you're not are when you are doing these malaria missions to help get rid of bad guys so these people can leave the country. But even then, you're doing it for more selfish reasons, because you're doing it to get medicine for your disease rather than because you want to actually help these people. And yet, even amongst all this bloodshed, you still get little glimpses of beauty of this country. And I think that is a wonderful dichotomy that exists in this game. With the best case of this contrast coming into play whenever anything in the environment gets set on fire. The fire in this game has an entire system built around it, built by how dry is the environment, what's the wind like, what's the weather like. It is so cool seeing a fire just start and spread all across the environment, and then when it eventually fizzles out, it leaves this ugly black scar on the earth. It makes the game feel so... Realism in video games is a concept that I could probably have an entire video just dedicated towards it. However, for the sake of the runtime of this video, I'm going to shorten it down to tangibility. And this game just oozes that out of nearly every pore. The fact that you have to ruffle through papers and use a GPS to see where you are on the map. Using bus stops to have to fast travel to other bus stops. The various healing animations that will play, depending on how you were hurt in that instance at low health. It's all dedicated to really immersing you in this absolutely worn-torn country, and I think that it's one of the game's biggest strengths. However, that's not to say that everything is hunky-dory and amazing, because there is a few issues I have with the game. And I think the perfect way to show both the things I love about the game and the things I hate about it are its two most infamous mechanics. That being malaria and also gun jamming. I absolutely love gun jamming. I think it is an amazing feature, and way more games should implement it. I think it gives you way more of a reason to go to safe houses and stock up, rather than just picking weapons off of enemies off the map, which are going to be way worse and rustier. And it'll lead to these amazing moments in your firefight, where you're just having a really intense moment, it's getting intense, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, my gun's jammed! And you either have to dip behind cover and try to clear the jam, or you get your pistol and you like try to stay in the fight as best as you can with your secondary. And I also think that it's really cool that with all of these rusty piece of shit weapons you're picking up off the map that are probably reaching decades old at this point, are more than likely all imported by the main villain of the video game. It is an incredible way to tie a mechanic in a game to the main story. While you see, in contrast, I fucking hate malaria.
Fuck you, sir!
For most of the game, it is this completely benign, nothing mechanic that barely comes into play until every so often, oh, there's yellow Gatorade all over my screen. I have to pop a pill to get rid of it. Wow, incredible. And now there's going to be points in the game where, oh no, I'm out of pills. I can't fucking play anymore. I have to do 20 to 30 minutes of this boring fuck-ass side quest that is like every other mission in this damn game, where you just go to an outpost and kill a guy so you can go back to, you know, completing the main story. Hi, it's me, Moonwatch, in the editing room. You're seeing this right now because the footage that was essential to the point I was about to make, for some reason, up and disappeared on me. So, you're gonna have to deal with a PNG version of me for a quick second. The thing, to me, is that gun jamming is a purposefully implemented stressor that, you know, it could potentially get you killed, but in the same way that a random enemy coming from around a corner could get you killed, and serves to be an immersive, entertaining mechanic that is directly tied to the main plot of the video game. While malaria is just a meter that doesn't matter for most of your playtime until all of a sudden you're getting screamed at to go spend half an hour to go deal with it. In a survival game, it would make more sense to me. However, in Far Cry 2, it is simply annoying. And I think that some of the other elements of this game suffer from that same problem. For example, having fast travel explicitly tied to bus stops is cool until you realize that there are only 4 points on the map and you're going to be spending most of your time driving around just getting to the objective, and it's really boring because you either do nothing or get into a fight that delays you getting there because you have to hop out your car in order to fight the guys. Having merc buddies that help you out during a fight and can even give you alternative ways to solve a mission sounds really cool and awesome until you realize that most of the time it's only an extra step in the mission and you have to go do the main mission anyway. And also, you need to do it every single time because they are the only way to get safe house upgrades, which will either go from boring and useless, like, oh, you have a mounted gun on this one location that enemies barely ever visit, to essential, like medkits and grenades. And I kind of think that this is further exaggerated by the fact that the game kind of runs out of things for you to do in the initial hours, and all of the missions in the game kind of just amount to go to this location, kill a bunch of people, with the most, minute variation possible. And the fact that enemies will just respawn at outposts that you go and conquer makes it completely pointless to do anything, because why even bother? Like, they're just gonna respawn. I'm gonna go past it and continue on with my merry way. The campaign really does become a giant slog for most of its runtime, because, as I said, you just go up to the mission giver and he'll say, steal some diamonds, kill these people.
Go to the dental clinic and take out those nitrous tanks.
And that's what both factions do every single time for the 9 hours that this campaign runs for. The only remotely worthwhile story element to really interact with in this game are the Jackal tapes, and that's because Dwayne Hill is giving his all to voice this weapons dealer who's beginning to question whether he should really be doing this, with some genuinely really well-written monologues.
You can't break a man the way you break a dog or a horse. The harder you beat a man, the taller he stands. To break a man's will, to break his spirit, you have to break his mind. Men have this idea that we can fight with dignity, that there's a proper way to kill someone. It's absurd. It's an aesthetic. We needed to endure the bloody horror of murder. You must destroy that idea. Show him what a messy, terrible thing it is to kill a man, and then show him that you relish in it. Shoot the wound, then execute the wounded. Burn them. Take them in close combat. Destroy the preconceptions of what a man is, and you become their personal monster.
Now, maybe having the only interesting story elements of your game being tied to collectibles that, during my runtime, I was only ever able to find 2 of by just naturally playing, is a bit of a questionable decision. I do think the game picks up in the latter half, because I think the new section has a bunch of areas with way more interesting level design than the previous one, but the game still suffers from the same repetition. The only progress that you get in the game, truly, is either unlocking new weapons or safe house upgrades, and these are hardly that interesting. And to be honest, the more that I think about it, the more I realize that I think this game would really benefit from implementing a lot of additions that Far Cry 3 had. Driving from place to place and fighting enemies would be cooler and faster if you could shoot from the inside of your car. While I personally wouldn't want you to be able to fast travel anywhere on the map, making it so that conquered outposts could serve as fast travel points would be cool, and would further play into the faction mechanics that the game doesn't really build upon. And while I don't think you should be able to kickflip 360 no-scope murder people, I do think the game could be helped a lot with a more robust progression system. Something outside of just accuracy and damage upgrades for your weapons. Maybe start adding things like scopes that you can attach, or double mags to make your reloads faster and visibly change the gun. Could you imagine how amazing this game would be if it had animals from Far Cry 3? You're doing a mission, there's lions hiding in the brush, or crocodiles and hippos in the river, and you could see them interact with the soldiers and them killing each other, and you could use it to your advantage. That would be so sick. Editing Room Moonwatch again, because in post-production, someone pointed out the fact that people might misunderstand what I'm saying here, and I would like to clear that up. With this point of the video, I'm not trying to say, oh, why didn't they just add the features from 3 to 2? The context that I have surrounding the conversation with Far Cry 2 is that some people view 3 as when the Far Cry series started to go downhill, and I disagree with this idea. But what I also want to make clear is that I don't think these features in 3 should be implemented one-to-one into 2, because the way the features exist in 3, they exist to further emphasize the power fantasy that game is going for, of you being this strong, insane warrior in this land. They would have to be retooled to put further emphasis on you being a loser piece of shit that can't do anything, which Far Cry 2 is going for. I think this game is one of the few ones that would actually benefit from a remake, or at the very least, a spiritual successor. Would I trust modern day Ubisoft to do it? Fuck no. They would probably completely ruin it and remove everything that made it distinct from the other entries in the series and just turn it into Far Cry 3 again. But in this modern era where we have a bunch of developers that are interested in taking up older projects, I don't know, maybe something could happen. Probably not. I just want it to happen, please. Now, even with the issues that I've presented to you, I still think this game is very much worth your time. Wait for a sale, go and nab it, and play it for a few hours, because despite all of my issues that I've stated, it is still an amazing video game that is made unique by the African setting, fire propagation, and other sort of hardcore mechanics. And it has made some experiences that I've had that I've never had in any other video game. And yeah, I think that'll be it for my video. Ooh. If you liked it, put a like. If you hated it, go into the comments and tell me why, okay? I need to get that, I don't know,